Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing Crimson Moon because we got a nice little Q&A on May 8th, 2026. My name is Isaac. As per usual, if you could drop a like, comment, and subscribe at some point during the video, that would be fantastic. Now, without further ado, let's continue. For those of you who are not in the know, Crimson Moon is a gothic action-adventure RPG by Probably Monsters and is scheduled to be released in fall 2026, available on PlayStation, Xboxes, and on PC. Not to mention, this is a co-op roguelite game, which if you guys know anything about me, I love my roguelites and I love co-op games even more. So thankfully, we have a reporter from Insider Gamer who had the opportunity to sit down with the developers behind closed doors at GDC 2026 in San Francisco, where they presented a live one-on-one demo of Crimson Moon, their upcoming solo and co-op action-adventure RPG. Probably Monsters is a AA studio that has been quietly building something ambitious, and what I saw in the room gave me the reason to pay attention. The studio is intent on bringing its own flavor to a saturated genre, and alongside it delivering a visually arresting world with considering design philosophy underpinning the whole thing. This is not a game that is trying to be everything to everyone. The developers gave me the impression that they know what Crimson Moon wants to be, and they intend to execute that identity with real confidence. Now, from what I've seen in the trailers so far, it kind of looks like an in-between a character action game and a Souls-like. So it's not going to be as slow as your Elden Ring, but it's not going to be as fast as, let's say, Devil May Cry. I think we're going to land somewhere smack dab in the middle, something like a Kazan or a Sekiro. Now, I will not be going over every single question, just the ones that I found the most interesting, but I will be leaving a link to everything in the description down below as per usual. Crimson Moon blends gothic high renaissance aesthetics with Souls-inspired combat and roguelike playability. What was the original creative spark for the game, and how did that vision evolve into what we're seeing now? The original spark for the game started with David and Kyle L'Esperance and Brandon Simard as teenagers in Michigan, feeling inspired by Dungeons and Dragons and heavy metal music album artwork. You know what? I completely understand that, because as a kid, whenever I saw artwork for heavy metal albums, I always wished they could make a game out of those artworks, so I can fully understand and I get behind that point and things like that. David, Kyle, and Brandon are now game directors, narrative designer, and gameplay programmers, respectively, on Crimson Moon, and they fuse their inspirations with their love for action-adventure RPG to shake up the genre with a replayable mission structure. This allows the game to still be thrilling while reducing potential player frustration. That's been a design concept from the beginning. The biggest evolution during the production has been rescoping the size of the game to allow the team to focus on quality and replay value more than sheer size, hit a price point that gamers love. So by reading this response, what I'm seeing is that this game is not going to be your massive open world with a million things to do. We're not getting an Elden Ring, we're not getting a Crimson Desert. What we're going to be getting is something probably smaller, maybe between 3 to 5 distinct level biomes, whatever you want to call them, but each of them are going to be handcrafted by artists. They're not going to feel the same because they're really going to be focusing on the quality of the product and not just the quantity. So what I feel like is that each biome we visit is going to feel distinct and handcrafted, and possibly if the game does very well, we might see new things in the future, such DLC, new biomes, new weapons, new armors. There's clearly a strong identity here, but the market is crowded with action RPGs. What would you say is the single thing that makes Crimson Moon distinct from other games on the market? Crimson Moon is structured around focused, replayable mission instead of traditional story campaigns. The game's unique structure keeps tensions high, supports repeat sessions, and allows players, whether they fight solo or with a friend, to experience with builds, tactics, while still offering an engrossing world with unique lore to unearth. So far, I really enjoy where this is going. It doesn't seem like it's going to be your traditional roguelike system where every time you start with pretty much nothing, and the only thing that you can control is your starting moves and your health defense, basically your stats. Now what it seems like you're going to build a character and then go in a run, and have in that run you might find things that will increase your build, but you're going to have what feels like more freedom in the beginning of the level versus having to just go by with whatever you can find during the missions. And you know what? I would love to see that, because we are bloated with action RPGs, we are bloated with roguelites. So to see somebody take both of those things, mash them together, and come out with a roguelite action RPG, I am very excited for that. I guess it's an RL RPG, roguelite RPG. If you had to pitch Crimson Moon to a fan of a specific game or games, who would you target? What's the if you love X, you would love this elevator pitch? We made Crimson Moon for fans of action and adventure RPGs who love combat mastery and skill expression. The game is inspired by our love for classic fantasy, gothic horror, and metal music, and we believe fans of these genres will love Crimson Moon too. You know what? I'm 100% here for it, because my favorite type of game is forever going to be character action game specific. Think about your Devil May Cry, Dante's Inferno, God of War. Those are forever going to be my favorite games, and I feel like we just don't have enough of those games. Even when they make action RPGs, you're still confined by way more rules than if you were in a Devil May Cry, for example. So to see them bring those two genres together, moi, chef's kiss, I'm here for it, very excited. Now here's a very interesting one. The fact sheet described missions lasting 15 to 45 minutes with dynamic layouts and scaling difficulty. How does the difficulty scaling work? Difficulty in Crimson Moon is one of the many ways that the game is designed to be replayed. It scales through a mix of factors including challenges, modifiers, changing enemy composition, and even evolving mission boards that offer new objective, progression path, and scaling trials. These systems in combinations allow players to choose the difficulty expression that fits them best, while also providing an increasing series of high risk, high reward challenges for players to return again and again. Now I like this very much. It seems like we're going to be able to scale the missions as we progress, but it won't be imposed on us, because I can tell you one thing, after a full week of work, exhausted, and sometimes I just want to get on the games and not have to try too hard. I just want to be able to relax, and a game like Elden Ring, it's not always the most relaxing thing to play, and neither is Devil May Cry. So to have an action RPG that focuses on stylish combat and is a roguelite, have scalable difficulty at the player's choice, definitely makes things a little bit easier and a little bit more, I guess, adult friendly. Co-op is optional, but clearly a meaningful part of the design. With synergies and mid-battle revival, how do you ensure the solo experience feel completely and intentional rather than the co-op being the intended mode? I mean, personally, I will be playing this game co-op for as long as I can, but let's see what the developers had to say. We're doing robust single player and co-op testing every single day with probably Monster Q18. They're fantastic, they're so good at the game now, they can do speedruns, play as beginners, or even choose how quickly or slowly health depletes or bosses are defeated. They tell us the average runtime length in single player co-op and give us honest and direct feedback from the gamer's perspective. We fine-tune statistics based on their testing, and will continue to iterate by listening to community feedback and Discord through launch and beyond. Now, I'm very happy to hear this, but I will admit that when games do have a co-op component to them, it is very difficult to play the game in single player because the game doesn't feel as balanced. So hopefully they're going to have some mechanics that are going to balance that out, like possibly a revive system, maybe 2 to 3 revives when you're playing solo, or maybe you have a pool of revives. It's the same pool whether you're playing in co-op or you're playing solo, so you got a pool of 4 lives, and whoever dives, that costs a life. In co-op, once you run out of those 4 lives, you can no longer revive your teammate, and in the single player, once you've expended those lives, you are no longer able to revive yourself and will have to restart your run completely. So far, I'm liking what Probably Monsters has to say, and we're going to continue with 3 more questions. Can you explain how the Celestial Transformation mechanic works? Now, if you guys know me, I love a game with transformations, so I am here for this. It is a powerful but temporary buff to player combat statistics, pulling from their reserve energy of angel power, players have to manage that resource during combat using just enough at the right time to stay alive and do real damage to enemies and bosses. Now, essentially, this will be working like a Devil Trigger or a Spartan Rage, whatever you want to call it. I'm just hoping, I hope that we're going to have an item that allows us to transform quickly and detransform quickly. Well, yes, like the Devil Trigger. Yes, I know it's Devil May Cry feature, but I want more games to do it where I can just boom, power up and power down quickly in between attacks, allowing me to preserve as much as my angelic power as possible and never just wasting it on one opportunity. The Nephilim's abilities are described as shifting and evolving. How expressive is build variety? Are we talking broadly similar runs with different flavors, or genuinely divergent play styles? From what I saw, there are going to be melee power and sorcerer powers that was related to the angelic transformation, but it's most likely going to be related to the day-to-day combat as well, I would assume. Players in Crimson Moon start with the choice between two base loadouts. From there, they collect armor pieces that from sets and weapons by completing and replaying missions. As players collect more items, they can customize their loadout. We encourage players to replay missions to discover all of these build items and experiment with different play styles. Unfortunately, they're not going to give us that much information, but we can always go back and look at the developers' logs and developer deep dives for more of that information later. The last question we're going to go over is going to be about pricing. You're releasing in 2026 with no price announced yet. Pricing has become a real conversation in the industry. We're debating around $70 games, $50 games, and early access models. How are you thinking about where Crimson Moon sits and what factors are driving that decision? We're not ready to reveal our price yet, but our goal is to delight players with clear value for their dollar through the dynamic replayable We're not ready to reveal our price yet, but our goal is to delight players with clear value for their dollars through the dynamic replayability built into Crimson Moon's mission structure. Though unfortunately we will not be getting a price, but by looking at the game, the fact that it's a AA, I don't think we're going to be getting a full price $70 game. I'm thinking we're probably going to be between the $50 to $60 mark. But that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in that comment section down below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe because it puts a smile on my face. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Let's hit 500 subs.